3 charges he was acquitted of. Everything else, a guilty verdict for William Roddy Bryan, the neighbor. And as soon as the jury began the reading of the verdicts, that first count was read with respect to Travis McMichael, the guilty verdict for malice murder, and there was an outburst in the courtroom. Ahmaud Arbery's father just could not contain his emotions, jumping up in the courtroom, making noise. Everyone heard it. Let's take a look back together at that moment now.
Count 1, malice murder. We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty. I'm going to ask that whoever just made an outburst be removed from the court, please.
It's about time. And it's sad that it had to happen.
As this court has indicated, I ask that there be no outbursts in the court, and I expect as much from the gallery. Please respect the court's desire for this as we move forward. If you feel like you need to make a comment or otherwise demonstrate with respect to the verdict, I do ask that you step out of the courtroom now.
And we want to bring into our live coverage someone who was inside the courtroom for the reading of those verdicts. Court TV legal correspondent Julia Janae joining us live now. Julia, what was it like in that courtroom?
Julie, before this jury walked in, the silence was heavy. No one was saying a word. There wasn't any chatter. Behind me on that back row, the family of Ahmaud Arbery, they were all grasping each other's hands. You had Wanda Cooper Jones and her attorney Lee Merritt on one side, Reverend Al Sharpton in the middle, Marcus Arbery there, who you heard jumping up during the reading of malice murder, that first guilty verdict against Travis McMichael. And next to him, his attorney, Ben Crump. Ben Crump tried to get him to calm down. He had his hands around him, his head down, just trying to get him to be able to stay inside of the courtroom. But a courtroom deputy did come and say, "Sir, you have to leave." So he was then escorted out, and they continued with guilty on all counts against Travis McMichael. The emotion was flowing as far as from the family, but also watching the McMichaels. They were right in front of the media row there in the courtroom, and I saw Lee McMichael and Greg McMichael share a really meaningful glance with each other. They didn't say a word, but after the guilty was read for Travis's counts and all of Greg's counts except for malice murder, she was watching him, but she did not let any tears shed. There was a woman next to her that was crying. She has opted not to be identified, but clearly she is a very close relative of these defendants. When they walked away, she said, "I love you," out loud as they were taken away by the deputies.
A very emotional day it is for everyone involved, in particular for the Arbery family. Tell us, Wanda Cooper Jones, Julia, Ahmaud Arbery's mother, been in the courtroom every single day. You've sat very close to her many days in the courtroom. What did you see with her after all the verdicts were read out loud?
You could see relief on her face. She was holding the hands of the Reverend Al Sharpton and Lee Merritt, and she was shaking them as she was hearing these verdicts come in one by one. Guilty, guilty, guilty. She was breathing heavily. She was crying, but not letting it happen out loud, which I feel like she's had to do throughout this trial. Keep in her emotions, keep in any tears, but in that moment you could see now she felt that this was the moment of release. She just needed to wait to hear all of what the jury had to say. She didn't say anything, as opposed to Marcus Arbery, who said it's been a long time coming. He was cheering there in the back of the courtroom, and that is what led to him being escorted out. But as soon as this judge released that jury and the attorneys for the defendants were consulting with the McMichaels and Amy McElrath, who's there for William Roddy Bryan, we could hear outside in the hallways just the jubilation over justice for Ahmaud Arbery from the hallway. There were dozens and dozens of people crowded there and then greeting this family. Wanda Cooper Barbara Jones in particular, with long embraces as they mark this moment of hearing guilty on all charges after such a long time of even getting an arrest in this case, something we hear people commenting on even in this moment with the verdicts coming down. They're saying she had to work so hard to get here. No one would listen to her, but look at this moment for her.
Hopefully.